My name's Martha and it's International Women's Day. We are celebrating by having an open studio, so we have lots of wonderful ladies inside, and I'm joined by a very special guest. Hello, Annie Mack.
Hello, Martha.
Can we make some noise?
Hello,
for Annie
ladies.
Mack, Thank you so much
Cheers.
for coming. Thank you for coming to Radar.
Oh, it's such a pleasure.
What do you think of it?
I think it's amazing.
Oh, it's wicked to have you here.
I like the foliage. It's really flossy. I really like it. I've never been, so it's nice to be here.
So we are celebrating International Women's Day, and we thought, do you know who's the best to ever do it? It's Annie Mack. So here we go. Let's talk about how you first got into radio.
Okay.
What's your initial story?
So initially I was in university in Belfast. I didn't even know that Radio 1 really existed because I grew up in Dublin and you don't get the BBC in Southern Ireland. So I moved to Northern Ireland, listened to Radio 1, heard people like Marianne Hobbs, Sarah Cox and people like that, and was like, okay, this is something that I'd like to do. I was really into collecting records and really into just... Can you swear on here? I'm sorry.
It literally says tune on and fuck off behind your
head.
head.
in Radio 1 mode. So just really into like chatting shit to people out. Basically just going out, raving loads, making friends. And I was like, how do I make this into a valid career? So music, talking shit equals radio. So it was literally that rudimental, like a rudimentary decision. I was like, okay, how am I going to try and pursue this? And then I went and did like a post-grad in England. I wanted to move to London, so I went to this place called Farnborough College of Technology and did an MA in radio, which cost like $2,500, which I saved up for loads. And I still to this day don't really know if it was worth it, but it got me to London. And then I moved to London and just worked in loads of smaller stations, an internet radio station. I worked for SBN, which is like a student broadcast network station that broadcast to all the university radio stations when they went on air. So I did the weekend breakfast show. I produced a hip hop show. I was just like really hands-on learning. I did like a show where bands would come and do sessions. But it wasn't like making any money, obviously. And all this time I was kind of knocking on Radio 1's door and eventually got like 2 weeks work at Radio 1 when someone was off sick. And then I did a job interview and got a job behind the scenes as an assistant producer. So they didn't even know I was a DJ when I got a job on Radio 1. I was kind of hiding it, too scared to tell anyone that I actually wanted to be a presenter in case they were like, get out. You can't actually like be a producer and then be a presenter.
So did you get much time to practice? Were you practicing at Radio 1 or did you just have to sort of go with it?
Well, when Radio 1 decided to give you like a show, they give you what they call on-air miles. So they put me on early breakfast. And I had to do like 6 weeks of the early breakfast show, just like being on air and getting good at it. But I obviously did do radio a lot before. But yeah, having that was actually really good before I went on air, just feeling a lot more confident about who the Radio 1 audience is and stuff. Well, at that time it's just truckers, but it was different from a Thursday night when I was playing jungle music and stuff.
Did you get to squeeze in any specialist
No.
tunes?
No.
Did you have any like female role models at the time, or was there anyone really to look up to?
Yeah, so Mary, the best bit of advice I got at Radio 1 was if you want to do a show, you've got to make it easier for people to help you. So rather than just going to the bosses and going like, I want to be a presenter, like make it easy for them to help you. So I went and said, I made a demo that was me covering for Marianne Hobbs' show. So I was like, okay, if Marianne Hobbs is ever sick, here's me presenting her show. This is what it sounded like, and I'd love to do it. So it was kind of easy for them to go, oh, okay, there's a dep kind of ready and waiting. So that's how it happened. I depped Marianne Hobbs twice, and she was the ultimate goal for me. She had a late night show on Monday nights called The Breeze Block, where she played everything electronic. There was no holds barred. And she had amazing DJ mixes on her show, amazing guests. And she was, and still is, like one of my favourite selectors, definitely. Thanks all for coming, by the way.
Yeah, thanks guys for coming.
We
have a studio audience this evening of girls. So we've got no men in the room right now. So
are men allowed? Are men allowed in the room? Oh, crossing the threshold.
A toe is in the room. Annie, let's talk a bit about AMP, because you've been making some power moves this year already.
Sure thing. Yeah.
But how did you build up the brand from the beginning?
So AMP started out with me going from that role of being an assistant producer at Radio 1, so working really hard, working on other people's shows, to then being given a show. So going from like a 50-hour week to like a 2-hour show a week. And it was a really weird thing for me to do. It was a really weird kind of transition to make. And I started DJing loads, obviously, because I got this dance show and it gave me a platform to DJ. Once you have Radio 1 after your name, it really helps you get DJ gigs. And I DJed since I was 19, but I was really thrown into the deep end, learning how to DJ in front of big crowds. I found it really hard. I actually used to bring like a piece of paper with exactly what I was going to play written down on a list with me, and my boyfriend used to come with me and be like, just fucking smile, they're all looking at you. And I'd be like, no, I can't come in the mix, I've got to get the mix right. So it took ages to feel like comfortable as a DJ in front of a crowd. I still can't bear it, to be honest. I find it really hard when there's a crowd staring at you when you're DJing. But AMP was born out of me being a DJ and traveling a lot on my own. And just being a bit like lonely. It's pretty lonely when you're just traveling all the time, like staying over in Newcastle and spending all day Sunday getting the train home. It's just like, it'd be nice to have people to do this with. And my boyfriend had a full-time job, so I couldn't do it all the time. So I suggested to my agent at the time, like just to do my own thing and to bring DJs with me. And that's what we did. We started off in Fabric in room 3. Actually, the first people that DJ'd for us at AMP were Paul Epworth, who's now like world-class producer of Adele and people like that, and David Holmes. Do you know him? He's like a famous soundtracker. But anyway, we kind of started there, Fabric, and then kind of moved up to room 1, and then took it to Coco, did a big long residency at Coco, then did Brixton Academy. And in that time just kind of branched out and kind of it became a bit of a brand. At some point, like when I got near like 30, it was like, okay, I'm actually running a business here. Like this has gone from being really fun to actually being a business. I'm approving artwork, I'm making decisions based on this, I have staff. It was kind of like, shit, I'm a businesswoman. How did that happen? But I'm into it and I'm learning, and it felt good to learn. So we kind of kept it up, and I've got an amazing team. Sarah over there with the spotty tracksuit bottoms. Woo! Donnie is legendary in the AMP team. It's me and Sarah and Lucy, my manager. So it's 3 girls, and we kind of do it all ourselves. So yeah, it's good. It's just it's a curation brand. It's just me curating what I like, but I guess having complete control over it. Whereas at the BBC, you're kind of always an employee.
And what's the vision for AMP this year?
I'm kind of growing up a bit, obviously. I'm a mother of 2, so I'm not like raving all the time like I used to be. And AMP Collected is like a new strand that we've introduced, which is me just kind of introducing and showcase music, anything from like singer-songwriters to rap to electronica, anything that's not full-on rave. And that's been cool. So I want to kind of push that brand a bit more and try and make a bigger deal of AMP Collected.
Yeah, wicked. Well, we're about done for the show. Thank you everyone to tune in, and thank you everyone that's come down to visit us, and thank you, Annie.
Happy International Women's Day.
Yes.
Aren't we great?
Yes, that's the main message. Do you have any words of advice for the young ladies in the room and at home?
I would say don't underestimate yourselves. I think women have a automatic tendency to play themselves down and to stand in the shadows and sometimes kind of not push themselves forward. It's not really a natural inclination, I feel, for a lot of the women I know in my life and me to be like, oh yeah, I can do this, and I think don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to take a plunge, and don't be afraid to seize an opportunity. And if you believe in yourself and you're passionate about something, go for it. Like Marianne Hobbs, it's one of my favourite bits of advice that she ever said, which is don't underestimate the power of your passion, because it can lead you a long, long way. So yeah.
Wicked. Big ups, everyone. Round of applause for Annie. Thanks. Thank you.